Hi guys, I'm here today to show you how to make arroz con bichuela, rice and beans. Now, for my rice and beans, I always like to add a little broth to it, or if you a little smoked ham or something. So I buy these instead because it's easier and I don't have to buy such a big piece of ham. So what I do is I take a frozen broth. This one is smoked brats. Any ham will do. So what I like to do is I like to run it under water. This is frozen, completely frozen. And I just wanted to show you it as it is frozen because who wants to sit there and just throw one piece of broth out at a time? So it is totally frozen, and you can see it's quite easy to cut through even though it's frozen. I like to make mine really small, the size of the beans. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sauteing this in some oil in our little pot, caldero. And then I like to kind of brown it a little bit, only because to me browning things adds more flavor and texture to your food. Not burning, just giving it a little toast, which I will show you. So you see how little I'm doing these? Very small. Now this recipe goes out to my older granddaughter. Her mother was telling me to make this because she remembers when I used to make it for her. Alright, so you see, that was quick, that was easy, little chunks. Alright, so now I'm going to take my little calderito, and that's little aluminum pot. I'm going to warm it up. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to it. Not a lot. That was maybe a tablespoon. Now we're going to be using our spoon. We call this cucharon, and all Spanish houses have one. I have the little short one, but then I have the longer one for when I'm using my humongous pot that takes up almost all my stove. So I'm going to throw this in here. I'll saute this a little bit just to get a little color on it. You can hear it sizzling already. So while that's coming up, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Now I like to have beets with like a little side salad addition. So I have here, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but this is the best thing there is. You can use this. Let me see if I can find it. I can't get at it from here. Basically, this is a strainer for your cans and also for your tuna fish. You open up your tuna fish and you press down on it, and you get all the juices in here, and then you drain it out. But I'm going to show you this over here. I've already opened up my beets. And then what I do with this side, usually for tuna, is like this. But for my beets, it's like this. See that? And then all you do is tilt it over, and it drains everything. instead of having to use the lid and then having to fish the lid out of the jar. And that's it. When you're doing the tuna, you put this inside and squeeze. And that's it. So now what I'm going to do is, we're going to be putting my beets into this little bowl. Let me pay attention to this really quick. Alright, that's that. Now I'm going to take a little bit of Italian dressing. This one is Olive Garden Italian Kitchen Signature Italian Dressing. And I'm just going to put it into my beets while I'm cooking. So that way when I'm done cooking, it's just a marinade. So when I'm done cooking, it will be infused with flavor. And that's that. Alright, now let me see. I'm going to pick this up just to show you what I mean by giving it a little color. You see that? It's not burnt. It's beautiful. And the color that's on the bottom of the pot is going to help flavor the food as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our sofrito. Going to add a dollop of that in there. Get that going. Stir that around. This you got to be careful with. You don't want to burn it. And let that cook for a few seconds. Now, I use tomato paste when I cook, but I don't always use my tomato paste fast enough. So what I do is I put it in here in a Ziploc bag. I flatten it out. Let me put this here. See? I flatten it out. Then I come with a knife and I just score it, leaving little grooves in it. And then I just snap it. And I have my portions. So now I'm going to put some tomato paste in here. I like tomato paste because, like I said, it's a concentrate. As opposed to having tomato sauce where the jars are bigger, you got to buy so many. And I can always just add my own liquid to the paste. Now when I make my beans, I do not rinse or drain them. I use it as is. I am just sauteing this because I like for my tomato paste to kind of get cooked in there and releases its flavor. I'll show you in a minute. So if you're curious as to what sofrito is, you can go back into my videos and look up making sofrito and you'll see everything that's in it. My sofrito, I put every condiment in here. The vegetables, the onions and everything. And I also add all of my powder ingredients, which is adobo, oregano, sazon, and I also add chicken bouillon. Alright, I've sauteed that enough, so let me just show you what this is looking like in the pot. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my beans. I'm using red kidney beans today. as you saw, I threw the whole amount in there. This is a 15-ounce can. Now I'm just going to mix this around just a little bit and let it start coming up to a little simmer. Then I'm going to add the water from my rice. Now, let me tell you what my mom taught me many years ago. When I was first starting to cook, my rice would be like stuck together, pasty. And she had seen that I was taking the rice and putting it in my colander and washing it off and letting it sit in my colander while I was doing all this work. So she goes to me, mira muchacha. She goes, you don't do that. And I'm like, why? And she says, because what's happening is that this is already being saturated and it's absorbing moisture, and then when you go to cook it, it's gonna get pasty and sticky rice. So when you're gonna do your rinse, do cold water really quickly, and then you put it in here so your rice isn't already absorbing moisture. I hope that little hint from my mama helps. Now, because this already has liquid in the beans, I am minusing that from what I'm making. Now I'm going to be adding a cup of water. Just 1 cup. Because I'm going to be adding like a half a cup of rice. So the rice that I'll be using for my rice today is short grain Goja rice. And that goes back to my Aunt Irma. This is what she used to cook. And as I've told you in the past, she passed away fairly young. And this is the rice that she would use. You could use anything you want. But this is what I'm doing only because I like to remember my food memories with her. I'm just going to stir this really quick. And I have a little spoon that I'm going to taste it before it starts to boil. Perfection. So I'm going to take some rice. I'm going to put it in my cup. I do measure my rice, sorry. I don't have that gift of people just throwing the water and the rice together and saying, perfection. I measure. So I already made a mistake. I said 1 cup of rice and a little bit of the juice from the can, so this would be too much rice for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like 3/4 of a cup. So this is 3/4 of a cup of rice. I'm not going to wash this. I've already measured it. I'm going to wait for this to come up to a boil. And I'm going to be putting back the rice that I took out. It's easier to add water to your rice than to take it away. So I'd rather err on the side of being able to add the water if I need to than to make my rice all mushy and nobody want to eat it. So to recap, it's some oil, smoked brats. You can add smoked ham. You can add any kind of ham in here you like. And sofrito, tomato paste, beans, water. And now we're going to add the rice. It's starting to come up to a boil. So now I'll rinse it. And you got to remember the rice also still has water in here, as you can see. See, there's water in here. So that you got to calculate all that. Give it a little stir. And that's it. I'm going to lower the heat. When I see it starts to get a little on the dry side. And I like to, there's a lot of people who like the crunchy rice on the bottom of the pot, where it's called pegao, or Puerto Ricans call it pegao, Dominicans call it con con, and it's delicious, but I prefer not to make it for mine. So what I like to do is I like to lower the heat really low when this is setting up, and that way it doesn't make a lot of pegao on the bottom, which is the crunchy rice, which is absolutely delicious, trust me. Now, with the way that you saw me make this, it's the exact same way that you will make chicken and rice. Only difference is, with the chicken and rice, I like to take my meat, heat up the skillet, throw my meat in there, brown my meat in the oil. Again, browning your meat gives you extra flavor in your food, and nobody wants to see a yucky, pale-skinned piece of chicken in their rice. So I like to brown it. Then I put my sofrito, saute it, put my tomato paste, saute that well, add my water. I like to put corn in mine as well. You can add corn, or you can add any vegetables if you want to add in here. But again, it's like, for me, I like corn, chicken with the rice. Same exact thing we just did, with the exception that it's just corn and chicken. Same thing. And then measure your rice, cover it, delicious. But the principal thing in here is your sofrito. As you see, I'm not sitting here pouring powders and putting stuff into my food. Take a scoop of sofrito, boom, stir, saute, done. I don't have to worry about all that. And then also, when you put all of your powders and your ingredients into your sofrito base, the salts from it keep it also from going bad on you. So I recommend just checking out my sofrito recipe and everything that I put into it. And I know a lot of people just like to take their onions, recao, and garlic and make it into their base, but they don't put anything else into it. Guys, try it my way. It's quick, it's easy, and you'll never go wrong. And the same thing, if you want to make a pot of soup, I'll be making some for you in the future. 1 scoop of the sofrito in water, chicken, rice, vegetables, noodles, whatever you want, done. 1 scoop of sofrito. So this is really boiling a lot, so I'm gonna lower the heat just because I don't want it to scorch on the bottom, because no matter how much fluid you have on the top, liquid, what's happening is the bottom has all the rice sitting on the bottom, and I don't want to scorch it. Now I'm just moving it on the bottom a little because the rice is concentrated on the bottom, and I want it to come up so that the liquid goes down. I'm not stirring, I'm just lifting it up a little bit. So with making these home cooked meals, my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, she lives in another state, and she wanted to make patelón de plátano maduro, which you'll see in my videos, it's there. So she made it for the first time. It was a hit for her family, and everybody loved it. The mother says, I'll never do it my way anymore. She says, that she's letting my granddaughter cook it from now on. That's how good it came out. So this is coming along. Let me just give it just a little bit more. I don't want this bubbling so much because I know it'll scorch on the bottom. So when this starts to dry up, we're just going to put a cover on it. Let it cook for 15 minutes. And that's it. You're done. So I have a little side of this with a little side of this. And I move this around. You can have lettuce with it. Beets. Make a beautiful salad. I used to cook a lot for my children while they were growing up, and now I've had to downsize to baby pots because I don't have to cook as much as I used to. But I still have the mother load of pots for cooking big. Not stirring, just bringing up the rice from the bottom so I don't scorch it. You don't have to do this. I do it because that's the way I like it. No, I'm not making my rice mushy. Guys, that's it. Quick, easy, and simple. Now, this pot size that I use, it is little, but you can make the same exact thing with the 1 can. Oh, you can also make arroz con gandule exactly the same way. You could use ham, smoked ham with that one. I always use smoked ham. And I use the fresh gandules from Goya in the freezer section for making that. Or if I have to, which I don't like to use the canned beans, pigeon peas. Pigeon peas I think they call it, but they're gandules. There's something about the gandules in a can that make me feel like it has a metallic taste to it. So I like the fresh frozen ones. So this is drying up. I'm going to cover it because I've learned I can. And then now I'm going to come in and I'm going to lower the heat. This will be done in 15 minutes. And that's it. Alright guys, I hope that this simple, quick little arroz con gandules has taught you how to make it. The importance about not rinsing your rice ahead of time. Marinating your beets. Using the little gizmo that I showed you for straining the juices out of your cans. Oh, this I actually got at my local supermarket. You know, they have it hanging on the shelves and the aisles. That's where I got that. But I'm sure you can look for it online. Alright guys, I'll leave it at this. And I hope that it has demystified how to make arroz con habichuela, rice with beans. Adding a little smoked meat to it enhances it even more. And what else? That you try it at home. And also go check out my sofrito recipe and see all the stuff that I do put into my sofrito, because the sofrito is the base that makes the difference in how you cook. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Give it a thumbs up. I hope you like it. I know this is going to be delicious. And you try it at home and let me know if you do, how it comes out, and if your family enjoyed it. Thank you. Give it a thumbs up.